Many believed that Mike Tyson was no longer the same after a 3-year sentence, and his fights had become primitive. But let's check if this was actually the case. Today we will once again return to the best knockouts of Iron Mike after his release from prison, and you will see that this gangster had something to show then, and he was able to surprise everyone. Not surprisingly, the return of Mike Tyson to the ring was awaited with particular interest. What will Iron Mike show after many years of inactivity? What is the state of his boxing reflexes, and so on? Everyone asked these questions. Mike Tyson had to win, so a suitable opponent was required. And Don King found such an opponent. As the first opponent for Tyson's triumphant return, 26-year-old Peter McNeely, nicknamed Hurricane, was chosen. Despite the impressive record, Peter was not a real top-end contender. He was more of a club fighter. McNeely was not afraid of such a challenge and grabbed the chance given by fate, although it was clear how nervous he was. And who would not be nervous in his place? But Iron Mike was as calm as a boa constrictor and determined as a tiger. He was in fantastic shape. One glance at him from afar could confuse anyone. And now it's time for one of the most famous stare-downs in history. McNeely unsuccessfully tried to look confident, and Tyson only followed him with his eyes. It seemed that the front was a small insect, into which a huge slipper would now fly. Rushing at Tyson from the very first second and pressing him to the ropes, McNeely tried to shock Mike, but such jokes with Tyson do not work. Tyson sent the opponent to the floor with a right hook to the head.
Now the second knockdown, he's hurt more on the inside, but this is still a replay of the first knockdown. Mike comes across just a nice short crisp turned over the right hand.
McNeely jumped up and suddenly ran around the ring. The referee grabbed his hand and started counting the knockdown. The fight continued. In the middle of the round, Tyson carried out a successful attack and knocked down McNeely with a right uppercut. Referee Mills Lane started the count. People from McNeely's corner entered the ring. The referee asked them to leave, but they refused, after which Lane decided to disqualify McNeely, but Peter shouted into the camera that he would return and show everyone what he was really capable of.
He gave it the best he could. I didn't understand why his corner got in the ring, not then.
As a result, a spectacular return of Tyson, a knockout in the first round, and the main star of that era returned to the ring again. The next opponent was Buster Mathis Jr., the son of the very famous Buster Mathis fighter who fought at the Olympics with the legendary Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. Buster was a more serious challenge for Tyson. He defeated several serious opponents and even fought the star Riddick Bowe. However, for Tyson it meant nothing. For him it was just another fight. When the gong sounded, Mathis immediately flew forward, trying to repeat McNeely's tactics. Buster throws punches well and works great with his body in close combat.
Body punches, there's a shot by Mike Tyson with the left.
But tonight he's doing a good job swimming.
Mathis is definitely a good fighter, but there was one problem: he did not have a powerful blow.
And he's taking it to
Tyson misses again with the left.
Mathis kept the defense well and evaded Mike's punches well, but it didn't last long. In the third round, Tyson sent Buster Mathis to the floor with a right uppercut.
Use that right-footed pivot, swing around on your opponent's side, and then crack.
Oh, he got a right uppercut, another right uppercut, and down goes Mathis.
Mathis did not have time to rise before the count of 10 and the referee recorded a knockout. Buster Mathis was not a passing opponent. He worked well with the body, poured high-speed series of punches, and pressed. Thus, Mike Tyson went to the title fight to regain what was previously lost and rightfully his. This time he was opposed by the British world champion Bruno. Due to the ignorance of the masses and the stupid propaganda that Mike Tyson is the killer of the weak opposition, some consider Frank an accidental champion, but this is all not true. Bruno was a very strong boxer, albeit a bit of a home fighter. He defeated quite a few top fighters of the 80s, including Tyson's rivals. In 1995, he fairly took the title from Oliver McCall, the man who knocked out Lennox Lewis. We all remember the fight between Tyson and Bruno in 1989, but this time the British had a chance to take revenge from Tyson. As always, Mike was calm in the ring like a boa constrictor. True, it was hard not to notice how nervous Frank Bruno was in the ring. Usually he was not afraid of anyone, but now, probably, the experience of the previous meeting broke something in him. Everything became clear when Tyson hit Bruno on the head from the right in the first seconds. After that, the goal of the Briton was only to leave the ring more or less intact, and not to win.
He's certainly coming straight in.
He began to clinch at the first opportunity and did not want to let Tyson out of his arms. This helped him get through the first round, but was already starting to piss off referee Mills Lane.
He does not like to fight on the inside.
But Mike Tyson looked much better in this round than in his last fights before prison.
Mills Lane, Tyson's people wanted to bob and roll, be less of a target attack. That's the first one he felt the steam.
He even demonstrated defense, missing Bruno's 5 blows in a row past his head. Then he went on the attack himself, and his blows hit the target.
But Bruno comes forward for 12 rounds, I guarantee you. Oh, a left hook by Mike Tyson, flush on the face of Frank Bruno. Another left, and a combination.
In the third round, Tyson landed a right to the body, a left hook to the jaw, and then held a long series with both hands, ending with several right uppercuts.
Expected. He said he's not looking for the Tyson who fought McNeely and Mathis. Here's a combination uppercut by Tyson. Tyson laying it on, pouring it on. Down goes
Bruno leaned on the ropes that kept him on his feet, and the referee saved him from further beating, and the WBC title passed to Mike Tyson. After the fight, Bruno, barely moving his bloodied lips, announced his desire to have a third fight with Mike. However, a day later, Frank learned from doctors that he should not box not only against Tyson, but also against any other fighter. Iron Mike injured the British left cheekbone. The medical commission diagnosed the risk of complete loss of vision. Frank Bruno ended his sports career. A few days later, it was only a year since Iron Mike was released from prison.
Mike Tyson!
Having taken away the WBC belt, Mike Tyson began his second hunt for the championship. His next trophy was to be the WBA title, which was vacant until Bruce Selden won it against Mike's former rival Tony Tubbs. Initially, Lennox Lewis wanted to fight Iron Mike, but everyone understood that while Tyson was definitely not ready for such a powerful opponent. Although he was not a star, Bruce Selden really was the top of the time and a worthy opponent for Tyson.
Together, here we go, round 1, scheduled for 12, and Tyson comes right out, right into Bruce Selden.
The fight turned out to be very short. Mike, in his aggressive style, pounced on the textured bodybuilder, shocked him with heavy blows, and issued a quick victory.
His head, as we're watching here. Mike always has his hands high, springing, trying to come down under. He hits him on the top of the head. He hits him.
Referee Richard Steele made a gesture with his hands indicating that there was no knockdown, but Selden refused to get up. Then the confused referee opened the score for him. Selden stood up, only to lie down again almost immediately after a left hook from Mike. This time, the referee had to count out the knockout as Selden staggered. The audience began to chant that this was a fixed fight, but it was most likely just a strange fight. It took 109 seconds for the whole fight, as usual for Tyson.
This whole audience was hollering fix and so forth. It didn't look as though you were that badly hurt, Bruce.
Well, I was hurt. You know, Mike Tyson, I didn't realize how hard the guy could hit and how fast he was.
After Mike Tyson finally met with Evander Holyfield, which led to the second defeat in Tyson's career. And after the third.
That bite. Now here's the bite. Keep your eye on Mike. See, Mike has just see. Look at him. You can see it. You can see it. There it is.
Even in the fight against Selden, you could see that Tyson began to lose shape a little compared to 1995. And after 2 defeats in a row, everything got even worse, which brought us the fight against Francois Bota. In his homeland, Bota is deservedly a sports legend, and in fact, he was a powerful former champion, fought with many tops, did not run away from anyone, but still was no match for Tyson. Tyson went into this fight noticeably harder. This was the first fight after a year and a half of inactivity, due to a disqualification received for the second fight with Evander Holyfield and a bitten-off ear. Therefore, everyone was interested in how Tyson would start. Everyone expected a quick knockout from Mike, but things didn't go as planned.
Let's see what he does. The bell for round 1.
The first round begins with Mike launching an attack, but Bota is not giving in and instead puts up a noticeable resistance.
He's been hitting nearly 2 years. What
Just had a little deja vu called bone crushers.
Does Bota have the ability?
Mike tries to land a few of his hooks, but Bota sees through his intentions.
Mike, and he's done that. Just like Holyfield did. And Tyson.
But in the final seconds of the first round, Mike grabs Bota's right arm and starts twisting it as if he had the intention to break it, while hitting Bota with his left hand. Of course, a lot of people intervene to drag the rampaging Mike away from Bota. The second round repeats and even intensifies the effect of the first round.
Adding pressure to his arm and screaming about it.
And Tyson wants to end this.
Mike tries to increase the pace, but Bota responds with the same acceleration and pays for it again with a dirty move by Mike in a second-long clinch.
Screaming about it.
And Tyson wants to end this thing with 1 punch now.
And isn't it unfortunate?
What an ugly start to this fight.
The fight continues and Mike clearly wins in speed, but Bota compensates for this with distance, which allows him to see the initial phase of the strike, and he manages to intercept and soften the blow through a short shift in time. Bota is already starting to frolic and lower his hands in front of Mike, and this is already an unforgivable insolence.
Should have just jabbed in and through.
Right hand by Tyson. Disrupted. He's losing his cool. Oh, he stumbled after that.
After the bell, Mike hits Bota in the jaw.
Hurt. He got into the streets front.
And again, a left hook to the
But Bota behaves like a true gentleman, calmly returning to his corner.
dirty tactics by both.
In the third round, Bota moved in close and was occasionally successful.
Most people thought
Knowing the game, as a referee, I've seen many of them take a point away for excessive.
There were some excellent mutual cross punches, but they missed or were not accurate enough.
Remember, we've seen that.
Okay, listen.
In the fourth round, Bota once again started to walk in front of Mike with his hands down. But on the other hand, Bota could afford it, given his sense of distance and Mike's speed.
See, here's where you stuff the jab. Step to him and stop
Look
it.
at him. He's toying with Tyson.
Mike became more active and sharp than in the first 3 rounds, and in some places more collected.
Bobby, this is not a holding round. Tyson to that right hand, and Tyson.
It's going to be ugly and long.
In the final 5th round, Mike takes a lot of punches from Francois Bota.
Still he recovers.
To Tyson. As Bota tries to get this into the later rounds, it's
No matter how much Bota played around, he was still facing one of the greatest boxers, and even though Mike was not the same as before, he was still Mike Tyson, not some washed-up fighter. Francois Bota finally makes a mistake, which Mike seizes upon.
See, that is a mark of a shot fighter when you can't get off punches.
At the moment of attack, Bota shifts his weight to the left with a tilt of the body, and is immediately met with a monstrous right punch that sends him crashing down.
Short, chopping right hand. There it is. Right on.
Mike steps into him, bang. He turned his whole body, his hip, his legs.
down goes Bota.
The punch was so powerful that you sometimes wonder how these titans of the boxing world continue to function after such blows.
It's over. It's over. Mike Tyson has returned.
Are you
going to be more diplomatic in the future? Are you going to lose some of this anger?
No, I need respect. You show me respect and stop writing trashy articles about me, then I'll show you respect. I'm a man. Listen, I'm not afraid to die. I'm not afraid to waste my life, because when I die, I'm going to paradise. And I'm not worried, so I'm in a hurry to die. But no one's going to disrespect me, and no one's going to write nonsense about me without me retaliating back.
This was the first and only time Mike Tyson was losing on all judges' scorecards, but secured victory by knockout. But what a knockout it was. It was his strongest right straight since the time of Michael Johnson. In the last century, Iron Mike went into battle against the inconspicuous Julius Francis, who only stood out by defeating Danny Williams and losing to Vitaly Klitschko. The first 2 minutes of the first round, Julius Francis honestly resisted, and in the third, something happened that the management of the Daily Mirror newspaper, with which Julius signed an advertising contract, had been looking forward to. After a short 3-hit series, Francis was on the floor and got up only at the count of 9, possibly working off advertising time. Before the end of the round, he managed to be knocked down again and got up after the gong. There was no doubt that the second round would be the last in this fight. And so it happened. 3 knockdowns from Mike Tyson in 1 minute were enough for both Francis and the referee, who stopped the meeting without even opening the score after the Briton collapsed to the floor for the 5th time and showed his soles with advertising to the whole world. And this time, the duel with the participation of Iron Mike ended in a huge scandal. In June 2000, Mike Tyson met with Lou Savarese. At the 19th second of the fight, Tyson knocked down Savarese with a brilliant left hook.
Mike's only got one speed. It's fast forward.
Within seconds, down goes Savarese. A left hook by Mike Tyson, and within seconds, Savarese is down on the canvas.
I told you, Savarese.
When the enemy stood up, intending to continue the fight, Tyson pounced on him to finish off. Referee John Coyle, in order to put an end to the beating of the helpless Savarese, tried to separate the boxers, but Tyson, not paying attention to the judge, continued to strike. Mike delivered another blow and with the inside of the elbow slightly touched the off-balance referee, who fell, unlike Savarese, who was standing on his feet. Coyle got up and again categorically demanded to stop the duel. This time, Tyson complied. There was a hitch. No one knew what the verdict would be. In the end, the victory by technical knockout, despite the incident, was awarded to Tyson. Savarese nevertheless spread his arms for a long time, as if not understanding why the referee did not allow him to continue the fight.
I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lynx is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children. Praise be to Allah.
But his next opponent, Andrew Golota, was a really dangerous challenge. He not only had a face like a gangster, he really was not friends with the law, and in the ring he often turned into a real sadist. But this did not bother Tyson. He entered the ring calm and relaxed and prepared to show what he was capable of. After the traditional exchange of views in the center of the ring, Mike Tyson immediately got down to business. He tried the same attack that knocked Lou Savarese to the floor in the last fight. It didn't work out. Golota was very careful. At times, Andrew counterattacked somewhat timidly, but with every second he looked more and more confident. However, at the very end of the round, Golota missed a right cross from Tyson, very similar to the one Mike ended the fight with Bota, and ended up on the floor. Tyson clearly calculated him and simply waited for Golota himself to come out on his blow. However, Andrew was not so shocked by this blow. Falling, or rather, sitting on the floor, Golota offered both hands to soften the landing on the 5th point. As expected, Golota immediately got up and easily survived the last seconds of the round. It was only to be hoped that he would not capitulate at halftime. In the second round, it seemed that with a more or less successful scenario, Golota had a chance to survive a few more rounds, and then it would be easier. It is known that after the sixth round, Tyson usually gets a little tired. 2 or 3 times per round, Andrew missed significant blows, but he himself did not remain in debt. Several of his own blows from the right reached the goal. Tyson tried to immediately knock out Golota and opened up. Andrew often clinched. In general, the round went smoothly, although with a decent advantage for Tyson. In the interval between the second and third rounds, Golota refused to continue the fight. Pole's corner tried to persuade him to continue the fight, but to no avail. Golota fled the ring. Thus Golota covered himself with the greatest disgrace, simply giving up when he had suffered almost no harm. And the most amazing thing is that this happened to the beast Andrew Golota, who twice knocked out all the nonsense from Riddick Bowe himself, who was no worse than Tyson, and even many believe that he is better for him. This was the moment that in the 80s and 90s was called the Tyson effect. When his opponents entered the ring already defeated, they were broken by insane psychological pressure and fear of Mike Tyson. Shortly after the fight, Tyson's doping test showed traces of marijuana in his blood, and the fight was declared invalid. After that, there was an unimpressive fight with Brian Nielsen and a loss to Lennox Lewis.
You can't take that from
Mike Tyson's return to the ring in 2003 was crowned with his triumph in a fight in Memphis. He knocked out Clifford ATN in just 49 seconds. Tyson took down ATN with a hard right hand that reminded fans of his best days.
It should be fast and furious in the early going. Here we go.
From the very beginning of the fight, the boxers rushed to the attack. As a result, ATN fell into the ring and Tyson knelt down. However, both quickly got up and rushed at each other again. ATN even struck Tyson with a treacherous right hand. However, after Tyson's return series, with a final right blow to the jaw, ATN fell on his back in the center of the ring, and referee Bill Clancy counted out 10 seconds.
Instructions given by the ref in the early going. Mike gets it with the right hand, and ATN is down. He was really nailed with a flush right hand. It's up to 5 and 6. He's not going to make it. It's 7, 8, 9, and 10.
It is worth adding that this is not the fastest knockout that Mike Tyson has done in his life. In 1985, Marvis Frazier fell into the ring after being hit by Iron Mike just 30 seconds into the fight. This Tyson victory is only 5th in speed. Thus, Mike Tyson again brought that even without titles and an ideal record, he is able to show a real show. This was the last time Tyson was Iron Mike. He will return only after a year and a half to lose ahead of schedule to a solid top Danny Williams. And a year later, to give in to the frankly mediocre boxer Kevin McBride. This will be the last straw, and Mike will declare that he does not want to embarrass his favorite sport anymore by losing to opponents like McBride.